Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. I'm John Kelly, here with Jeremiah, the king of Kentucky packing. Kentucky Backpack. We're not going to worry about it. We're sponsored by Outdoor Vitals, makers of performance first ultralight gear. And Jeremiah, one of my favorite things about Outdoor Vitals is the Live Ultralight membership. I just want to tell you, I love the Live Ultralight membership. I'm personally a member of it. $10 a month goes to Outdoor Vitals and sits in an account where month over month it accrues, and you can go in and buy gear. You can buy backpacking food at a discount, all kinds of great things. If you buy anything at Outdoor Vitals, it's wise to get one of these memberships because every time you use that money as a Live Ultralight member to buy something, you get the discount. And it's not like they're taking a percentage of your money. It's literally just money that's sitting there when you use it. It's all yours, 100% yours to use at Outdoor Vitals. It's one of the greatest things that Outdoor Vitals does.
Yes, thank you, OutdoorVitals.com, for sponsoring the show. And I got to say, John did a much better job at the advertisement for Outdoor Vitals than he did
The intro to
the
this
show.
Yeah, Mr. Kentucky Backpack.
My name's Jeremiah. For anybody that's new to the show, would like to welcome you. Congratulations on joining the family at our 250th episode.
250 episodes, Jeremiah. You know what I've learned during this time?
What did you learn?
Got one life, live it.
That's all I'm saying.
Love that.
You got one life, live it. No, it's been fun. We've been doing this now since 2020. So we are 5 years in on this craziness. We're half a decade in on the Backpacking Podcast, which is nuts to think about. Because when we started this, we were like, maybe we'll do it like once a month. And that changed fast. And then it was like, maybe we can have a guest on every once in a while. Well, maybe we could have someone call in. And so we did audio podcasts. And then it became, well, everybody's stuck inside because of this epidemic that's going on. You want to start doing live streaming. And then it just kind of blossomed from there into what we're doing now. And it's been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, the show continues to evolve, and I think that it has to. I think that, I learned quite a bit too doing this show for several years now. First is, if you keep going at something, as long as you're willing to learn and morph and change as the times roll on, then you will be successful. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'm a father now, so maybe raising a child, or maybe it's a career path, or maybe it's a small business that you're doing, or whatever it is, content creation for us. If you keep going and you change positively, it will be successful. But it may take some pivoting. So here we are. The other thing I learned is, dude, in backpacking, there is so much diversity across the board, whether it's the gear or whether it's the people or the terrain. I mean, look at just the people we've had on this show. We have good friends that live here in Kentucky. Well, we've had on multiple people that only have one leg. I don't know if you know that. And one of them is an FKTer.
Yep.
And the other did the entire Appalachian Trail. We've had on authors, speakers, recently a comedian. I mean, all walks of life, doing all kinds of different things. Somebody doing the perimeter of the United States, creating that into a trail.
Someone hiking from the southernmost point of South America to the northernmost point of North America.
You can't make this stuff up.
It's crazy. We know Andrew Skirka.
Isn't that insane?
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to contact him soon because we're going to have him back on here in the near future, hopefully. So real excited about that. Jeremiah, I learned a couple things too.
What's that?
First thing I learned is podcasting can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, you got some experience with podcasting now.
Yeah. This is one of 3 podcasts I do, and eventually 4. I've got another one that's in the works that's going to be coming out real soon. But yeah, it's this it's wild, man. It's one of those things of you have to stay on it. If you don't stay on it, and find a good partner in crime. That is one thing. Having you as a partner in crime with this has been awesome because what I love about Jeremiah is, and we're both like this, it's if something isn't done, it's never like neither one of us are jumping down the other person's throat going, "What's your problem? Get it done." It's more of,
Yeah.
"Hey man, you gonna put a graphic on that and a definition for the video? Hey man, did you forget about that? Hey man," it's just very, very. When you find the right person to do this with, it's amazing how easy it is to want to keep doing it because uh,
Mhm.
it's just been a good partnership for the past 5 years. The other thing I've learned is right with what you said, and I was gonna say there's so many different forms of backpacking. When we first started this, all I really paid attention to were long distance hikers and weekend warriors.
Mm.
But that's such a scratching the surface of what backpacking is. There's so much more to it. There's so many different kinds of camping and outdoor activities. And really, this backpack and a lot of our guests that we've had have really opened me up to the outdoors in general. Growing up a city boy, you know, I lived in big towns, but I was never somebody who spent a lot of time in the outdoors. And this podcast has just opened my eyes to so many different things you can be doing in the outdoors. And now I'm probably so much more involved in just backpacking when it comes to the outdoors now than when we started this thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at you. You're well, what were you ate duck for Christmas? I mean, you all were
Yeah.
duck hunting.
Had a goose
Did
last
you ever
night.
did you think about doing any of that whenever you're sitting there on your couch about 8 years ago?
No, not even. Not even. And yet, like, you can't really see much behind me, but I've got way more backpacking gear than hunting gear, but I've got a lot of hunting gear behind me now. And it's just another way that I've found to just enjoy the outdoors and provide for my family. I mean, groceries are expensive, Jeremiah. We were just talking about this before the podcast started. How much are eggs right now?
I think they're like, well, in Kentucky, like $3 or $4 for 12. No joke. But I do think there's also at the time like an avian flu that took out a lot of chickens in California. And so that resulted in the price of eggs skyrocketing. So
Yeah.
if
But just the
you
cost
are,
of just the cost of eating groceries is expensive. Being able to go out and hunt and provide food for your family without having to spend the extra money at the grocery store is really great.
yeah, you'll have chickens at your house before you know it. And then, that's the first step to being a
The
full blown
the
conspiracy
HOA won't
theorist.
let me do that because I've thought about it.
Well, what's the penalty?
Um, several $100s worth of a fine.
Yeah. And how do they enforce it?
They have a little lady that goes around and checks your house, and then they send you a legal letter, and they will sue you if you don't pay it.
Okay. So
So I'll just pay extra for the
court?
eggs.
No, but I really am curious. I've never lived at a place with an HOA, so that's why I have questions. And Jason just calls it the learning mind. But I always have all these questions for
Yeah.
people. So let's say that you do something that violates the HOA, and it ends up where they sue you. Okay, do
Mhm.
they take you to small claims court? And is it
Well, all they'll ask
like
is
a
for you to pay the fine first, and then if you
yes,
don't pay the fine, then they'll sue you.
yes, but what's the form of court?
I don't know because I've never been sued by them.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
I do know that there have been people that have had to deal with that here in this neighborhood. I can ask and see if I can find out more. I know
Yeah,
nobody
bring
in
us
our neighborhood likes our HOA.
yes, dude. I would love. Can you please get us at least one good juicy story from a neighbor you're getting to know? Because you moved there in the last year, so
Yeah.
y'all are getting settled in, starting to learn people. You got kids. Your kids play with the other kids, so on, so on. So I want you. I'm going to give you a task, okay? And you'll bring this back
I
to
have
the show.
homework. I have homework.
You have homework. All right.
This is the first time in 250 episodes that I've ever had homework on the podcast.
Well, we're going to give him a homework assignment. I am very curious about this. So your task is in the next 3 weeks, you have to report back on the show. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to report back on the show a good story or situation that one of your neighbors have had to go through, something juicy that they've had to go through with this HOA.
What
And I'm
if it's
very
a person
curious.
that was that used to live here that moved out?
That's allowed.
Okay, because I may already
That's
have somebody, so that's good.
All right, so we may hear about this on the next episode. Who
We'll
knows?
see. We'll
But
see.
he's got 3 more episodes. My house, I don't think you're allowed to have an aluminum roof. I don't have an HOA. I just live in rural Kentucky, but I live in a subdivision.
He lives in a fancy subdivision, people. You go back there and it's all bougie. I mean,
Well,
I don't know
wouldn't go
where all
that
he's
far.
getting. I'm guessing that his YouTube channel must be like really good. I mean, you'll never see any merch for it, but I can promise you the boy's pulling in some serious YouTube money. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we have some great listeners on this show that can support us by checking out the merchandise that John has listed in the description.
Ah, that's true. You could do that and support the
Yeah.
backpacking podcast. Then I could get a bougie house like Adam or like Jeremiah.
Well, you also cannot put up a chain link fence. And there's a house that has a chain link fence in the subdivision that's black, and they have 2 dogs that run around. My last house, it had a black chain link fence. It looked fine. And I let the dogs out and let them play. And, you get to neglect them for a little bit. You don't have to watch them every second. Just put them outside and hope they don't escape. So I'm wondering, there's no HOA around here. Who enforces these policies for my subdivision?
I don't know. I know the HOA for ours is based out of Ohio, believe it or not, here in Kentucky, and it's based in Ohio. And they have a woman whose job is to enforce the HOA.
And her name is...
I don't know. She's the lady that drives around in the maroon Toyota SUV.
It's not Karen.
That might be. I don't know. She is.
Could
I'm
be.
not going to go there. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. She,
All right, John.
she's not very popular among the people in our neighborhood. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I'm sure.
I will say
Okay.
this. There's one rule that we have that I like.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of hate privacy fences. That's just a personal thing. I kind of hate them because I think it doesn't let people get to know their neighbors. Because, I mean, if you've already got an automatic garage door and you park in your garage, that means you're already not talking to your neighbors. Because a lot of times you'll pull up to your mailbox, get your mail out, then pull into your garage, shut the door, and go inside. And then you're not really outside much in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be like you'd go home, you'd walk out, say hi to your neighbors, talk to them for a second, go in. I can honestly say that in the time we've been in this house, I've actually gotten to talk to neighbors 2 and 3 doors down from us fairly often because we don't have these. We can see them across the yard and we can talk to them, which is kind of nice.
The only price you had to pay was no privacy. Small
I got
price
privacy
to pay.
inside my house.
Do y'all have doors on your bathrooms
Yeah.
at your house?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know how far you took this no privacy thing here, John. I didn't know.
No privacy.
maybe
No.
you took
What do you mean no privacy? What are you
I
trying
thought-
to hide in your back door? Are you like murdering people, Jeremiah? Why do you have to hide in
backyard?
your backyard?
Well, I think a lot of people, they have like swimming pools, and they definitely want a privacy fence up
We're
there.
not allowed to
But
have swimming
that's
pools
it.
in our neighborhood. So
Oh my goodness. How many rules does John live by here in this HOA?
there's a lot of them, man. There's a lot of them, but it's a prime
No,
location. And even
I
Jason
couldn't
was like, man,
debate-
this house is awesome. He loves the house.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to come up there, but I could debate the privacy fence thing. I don't know. The last house that we had, I wanted to put up a privacy fence, but the way the terrain sits, like here in Kentucky, a lot of the places are just a hill that the house has been built on, and then you have an acre, but it's all sloping down. So even if you had a privacy fence, like your neighbors, they may be sitting 40 feet above you, and they could see right over the fence. Or
I mean, what are
maybe
you doing that you're trying to hide, Jeremiah? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
well,
I mean, do you
Now this-
sunbathe naked? Is that what you do? Like,
Well, I should be able to if I want to have privacy in my own place. But I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying I should be able to. But no, I'm all about privacy. I mean, the reason you have this is where I think that there's a bit of a misconstrue here on the way that you're taking my debate. Everybody likes a bathroom door. Now, we all know what's happening in the bathroom. You're sitting there on the toilet. We've had a lot of poop talk on this show.
We have.
It's one of our main topics. But everybody likes a bathroom door. Even though you know what's happening on the other side, you still want your privacy, and so that's why you have the door. So that would be my same defense on if somebody wants a privacy fence. It's not that you should be able to do whatever you want there and do it however you want without just privacy.
I mean, what kind of people do you live around, man?
Oh, my neighbors are great, except one of them's a Tennessee fan. You know
well,
how that is.
yeah. Well, I bet they had a great night the other night when Ohio State destroyed them.
Oh, we won't go
I
there.
had to go there. I had to do it. I mean, I can't help it. OHIO. But
Oh,
yeah, they I mean, honestly, man, we have plenty of privacy. It's not like we have people constantly bothering us every single day, but it is nice when you go out back and someone's doing a barbecue and you're like, you wave and they wave back and everybody's smiling, everybody's nice to each other. It's like, oh wow, people can actually have communication with their neighbors. How nice is that?
I'm for it, man. I mean, most of
I'm
the
just saying, that's me.
one of my neighbors has privacy fence. I mean, we won't spend any more time on this. Nobody wants to hear us just complain about.
Well, here,
or,
let's
HOAs
just
or
do a
whatever,
poll.
Okay.
How many
What's the
people are
poll?
pro privacy fence, and how many people are anti privacy fence, and how many people just don't really care?
Hold on, I have to write this down. Anti-privacy and
Pro
for
privacy fence, or just don't care.
Okay, don't care. Anti-privacy. All right, I think I got it here. I'll put that on this show.
Now, if you're on Apple iTunes and you're listening to this, you can go over to our Spotify page. Just go to backpackingpodcast.com, and that'll direct you to our Spotify page where you can actually go on and do that poll. But I would love to hear what people think about that. I feel like too many of us now, we just don't nobody talks to each other anymore. Like if you go to a restaurant, just go in sometime and just look at how many people are sitting at a table, and it's a table full of people, and they're all on their phones. It's wild, man. It's crazy.
Well,
I think that's why backpacking is so great. Because you don't have near the same amount of people doing that backpacking as you do like in a restaurant or when you're out with people. It's crazy. I've been in people's homes, and half the people in the house are on their phones looking at stuff. It's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. But I have this is a good segue here since we're talking about the HOA and the legal and the privacy and all that. So I got a situation here with this dog, and I'm wanting your advice on this. So we'll keep everything anonymous, for my protection and the protection of all parties here. And if you want to chime in, I guess you can in the comments. But so long story short here, John, I was driving to the gym the other day and just minding my own business. It was middle of the day. It was like 12:30 p.m. And I seen this dog on one side of the road, and then literally out of nowhere, another dog runs out, and I hit it with the truck.
Oh, no.
And yes, instantly killed the dog.
Oh.
And we recently lost a dog,
yeah.
Petey, as you know. And we had Petey for like 9 or 10 years. Like they're literally a part of the family. And it feels like, I have a son. It's not like losing a son, but it's like a missing chunk of your home that's gone.
Right.
Anybody that's lost one knows exactly the feeling that I'm talking about. So I feel terrible, especially since the recent loss of our dog is still fresh, on my heart and mind. So I get out of the truck. So I hit it, right? And then I see parts of my truck flying in the rearview mirror. And I'm like, well, that done some
parts
damage.
of your truck flying?
Yes, like up in the air, flying like just behind the truck. Because I was going like 40, 45 miles an hour. That was the speed limit on the road, was 45. So I'm going the speed limit, and I hit this dog, and parts of the truck are flying. And so I pull off, and I'm like, okay, I got to see the damage, see if the dog is okay. First thought in your mind, dog's probably not going to be okay. It's a 5,000-pound vehicle going 45 miles an hour, and this is 70 miles. So I pull off and look at the truck, and I see the bumper's dented in. It's missing a fog light. It's got some damage to a fender liner. There's an air diffuser that's broken. I'm like, okay, well, this looks like quite a bit of damage here. I'm probably going to have to file an insurance claim. And I go check on the dog. The dog is deceased. And I pull the dog out of the road, and I see if it's got a collar. No collar. The other dog that was with it just ran off. Have no idea what direction. So I go just knocking on doors around the area where I hit the dog. This is on the main highway. And about 200 yards away is the person who the dog belongs to, the house. And I finally found it because somebody in that community said, yeah, 2 dogs got out yesterday, and one of them killed my chicken. And he had like 20 chickens. And I was like, okay, well, can you tell me which house? And he's like,
Now,
yeah,
for
I'll
those
take
of you in the West Coast, like in California and New York City and places, up the East Coast, and if you're in a big city, the small towns, people have chickens. So that's
Yeah,
not as
dude,
weird as it sounds.
literally just like last week, another cockfighting ring busted in Casey County, Kentucky. Matt Bevin
What?
this was one of his running points whenever he lost his governor election, back in whenever that was, 2018 or something. He said that he would legalize cockfighting in Kentucky. And
What?
yeah,
I didn't hear about that.
yeah, it's a big thing. Apparently, I've never seen it. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying that it's very, very normal to have chickens, whether it's for eggs or pets or just like cockfighting. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. There's been multiple busts in Kentucky just in the last 6 months of these big cockfighting rings. This was the day that Kentucky beat Florida. I think they bust them like that morning. I guess I don't know if those people thought, oh, everybody's watching the Kentucky game, so we'll have our little cockfighting like that. Did you find it?
Yeah, let me read through this real quick. You keep talking though.
Okay. So anyway.
Okay, so Matt Bevin literally said, this is crazy. This is back in 2014, by the way. He will never be governor of the state again. But it says, I support the people of Kentucky exercising their right because it is our right to decide what it is that we want to do and not the federal government's. Criminalizing behavior, if it's part of the heritage of this state, is, in my opinion, a bad idea.
Well,
and he admitted that he had. Let's see. The question was asked to him was, will you vote to support the effort to legalize game cockfighting in the state of Kentucky? And that was his answer.
Yeah, I can't endorse his answer.
No. Wow. Yeah. I don't think anybody else was endorsing that either.
Well, he didn't get reelected. I think that was mostly his comments on the teachers. But
I think it was all his comments on the teachers that caused that.
Yeah. I won't get political here. I stay apolitical on this show, but
not in real life, people.
Well,
but you're never going to know which way he leans. He's never going to tell you.
Well, this show's for people's entertainment.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
And that's why I just made that comment, just to make it more entertaining.
Getting back to the situation here at hand, what led to the cockfighting comment at all.
Yes.
So anyway, this person that the dog had killed their chickens was a former student of mine, actually, and he had graduated just 2 or 3 years prior.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, he hops in the passenger seat and we drive around to this trailer park. And I'd already driven through there and I was like, man, I hope this is not it. Cause there was like a Doberman laying in the driveway and, I don't know, it's just a rough area.
Yeah.
And, so we got the guy, his wife, there was a boy too. Those are the people living there. Talked to them, and like I said, long story short, done the accident report. Turns out I could get this damage paid for $527 if I take it to the collision center, any collision center here in town. But one specifically, I got 2 quotes. One's $900, one's $500. I take it there. It's aftermarket parts. They put them on. 3 hours of labor done.
Yeah.
Okay. So the guy, like I said, lives in a rough area, so that I assume comes with low socioeconomic status. And anyway, he says he's willing to pay 25% of the damages. He doesn't think it's his fault, but I don't know. I don't understand here. What would you do in this situation? So there is more to this situation. We can unpack it a little bit depending on your comments and questions, but that's the gist of the story.
Okay. So here's the issue I have. I come from it from a very different angle than 99.999% of all people.
Okay.
Do you want to know what that is?
Yes.
I'm a minister that works at a church.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I want to do as a minister is have a lawsuit with anybody. That is the absolute last thing I want to do.
Yeah, why is that? What is the relevance of being a minister at a church have to do with that? I'm not informed on what you mean, what you're insinuating here.
Well, I'm not insinuating anything other than the moment a minister does anything, it becomes news.
Oh, so you're saying you want to mitigate the negative
Don't
effects to your reputation
don't
as
need
a
it.
minister. So
Yeah,
yours is a
don't need
different.
it.
Most people aren't minister. 99.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I said.
49%
I said
are
my
body.
my way of looking at it is like different than 99.9. Most of the times in a case like that, I'm just gonna eat it and deal with it.
But what if you don't have the money to eat it? What if you're in this guy's situation? You don't have the money. He says, I'll pay you when tax time comes. That'll probably be the end of February. And I've watched a lot of Judge Judy, and all these people that say I'm going to pay during tax time never pay. I've seen it 100% of the time they didn't pay.
Can you get do you have a lawyer that can write up a contract?
Well, what's to write up? He says he's not liable. And then I talked to him a bunch, and he says, I'll cover 25% of the cost. And
I would
the
say
money's fine.
if you're okay with him covering 25% of it, do you have a lawyer that can write up a contract that says at tax time when he gets his tax return he will pay that, and then
Well,
you can pursue that after that if he doesn't.
you don't need a lawyer to write that. You can write that down, and then it's a contract.
Well, I mean, if you think that'll work, it looks a lot more
Well,
official though when it comes from a lawyer.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can type it up and all that if you want. You can make it look official if you want to or not, but really, like legally binding contracts, even a verbal contract, is enforceable if you have evidence. So you'd have to record it or something. But if you did a written contract, even if it's written on a napkin, it's enforceable. It's the four squares of that document. But what
Yeah,
I'm asking is, let's say you do agree to that, tax time comes and you don't collect your 25%, which we're only talking, very little money out of the 527.
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you say? What's your advice here, man? I'm 32. No prior accidents that were my fault. I mean, we got T-boned once, but somebody's making a left turn out of a no left turn, and insurance paid for that, and the kid was cited, and
Yeah. I mean, I think you realistically have to learn figure out if you're actually going to get any money for it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying is, let's say you do sue the person and they don't have the money. Then what? Like the judge, you go through, you spend I don't know how much, let's say it cost you $300 to recoup this $500.
Yeah.
And you go to court and the judge orders them to pay. And so what, do they put a lien on the person's property if they own their home, or do they put a lien on, like, what's the leverage that the courts has over an individual?
Man, I honestly don't know. I've never had to be in a situation like this before.
I haven't either. That's why we're talking about it here.
Yeah, no clue.
It's free to talk to you, not so free to talk to a lawyer.
I will say, I would just weigh the options of, is the battle worth the money?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, if you're gonna have to wait however many months anyways to get that money, 6 months, say 6 months from now, okay?
Yeah.
Say he doesn't file until April 15th.
Yeah.
And then it's a couple months before he gets the money from the government. I mean, at that point, does that money hurt as much as it did when you paid for it now to get it fixed? And is it worth it at that point? I don't know. I also look at it from his standpoint of grieving losing a dog.
Yes.
That's got to be hard for him, so, man, I don't know. I know my situation, like I said, my situation's different.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably end up just fixing it and move on.
Well, here's my thoughts on resolution here.
Let's hear 'em.
So I'm not a minister. I mean, I am a member at a church and a practicing member. And,
Yeah.
I also don't get religious or political or anything like that on the show.
Right.
So this
Right.
just as a human being, right? Trying to be a
Right,
good
right, right.
human being. So when this happened, remember, we did recently lose a dog. And so, it hurts my heart thinking that I took the life of another animal, even though it's negligence on his part. If we're being
Right.
in the eyes of the law, that's what happened.
Right.
So the guy didn't have a truck, so I took him in my truck around out of the trailer park and up to the road to get the dog and pick it up to take it back home, hoping that my actions are speaking louder than my words, because I think words are cheap.
Right.
And I gave the guy a few days and let him take care of putting the dog to rest and everything, texted back and forth with the guy, giving him another week or so. And I don't think he's got the money. No matter
No.
which way you cut it, I've lived, I grew up a very similar life to what he's living right now. And I just don't think that the money's there. But I said, I would really want to be a decent human being. And I'm a
Yeah.
teacher, a member of this same community. We're all living in this same community. I may even have his child in the future.
Yeah.
So I said, I will pay for the parts and he and I can put them on together at his house, or I can pick him up and bring him over here where I have the tools and we can fix this. And then he doesn't have to pay anything out of pocket. And then he can help me with stuff at our house, like with landscaping or it really, there's always stuff when you're a homeowner, there's always
Yeah.
a million things to fix and do
Yeah.
outside, inside. But he said that he had a back injury like 13 years ago and he's on disability. He can't do manual labor and he doesn't have any experience working on vehicles. And I don't know. Do I just eat this money and move on with my life, or do I force this person to have some kind of skin in the game? Just by the sheer fact of you want to. I don't mean to be condescending here. You want people to get an education in being a good member of the community, but sometimes whenever you got problems, you got to take care of those problems before you can start worrying about being a good member of your community
Right.
and how you're going to improve other people's situations and blah blah blah. So that's why I'm kind of asking for advice here and the best avenues.
Honestly, I mean, what's the win? You know what I mean? Like, I think you kind of have to define the win in the situation. Is the win going to be getting the money, or is the win going to be, just getting your truck fixed and moving on? I don't know. Like, I think for me, I would look at it as, what's this guy's situation?
Mm-hmm.
It was something he can't help. You know what I mean? His dog broke out. And I think we've all done that, right?
No, that's not what happened. His
Oh.
dogs he has 3 dogs and they were in a cage outside and the dogs started digging out. So they put the dogs inside. Then the dogs figured out how to get out from inside. So they started barricading the door to exit the house so that the dogs couldn't get out. And then I guess they've been doing this for a few days. And then like whenever we arrived there, the door was literally just open. Like it's somebody's house, but then the door is just like totally open. And I guess he said that the kid, I think the kid was like 10 to 12, took the dogs around the neighborhood and didn't barricade the door back up. But like we couldn't get somebody to come to the door for several minutes. And my former student said that he was having to like yell in to the door and knock on it for like several minutes to get anybody to come answer the day prior. And the exact same situation with me. So I don't know what's going on, but I guarantee they got some bigger problems than this.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think what happened where the dog got out was because he was just letting the dogs out. You know what I mean?
No, but it was negligence. I mean, the door to the house is just open.
Yeah. So this guy's obviously, his life situation is not the best, right? Is that fair to say?
Tough spot. My quality of life is definitely higher, and $500 to me is not $500 to him.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be taken into the equation.
Yeah. I mean, really, man, there's so many ways to look at this, Jeremiah. It's not one of those like cut and dry, get your money, like.
Yeah, I can afford to eat it, but man, it sucks. Accidents happen, and sometimes accidents cost you money. I've made a lot of accidents in my life, and none of them's free. So
right.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in the future. Drive under the speed limit, be more vigilant. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't think you did anything wrong with what happened. I think it's one of those unfortunate situations that just kind of happened. And unfortunately, your truck got the brunt of it and his dog died.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody won in this situation. You know what I mean?
No. And
I think it'd be different. I think it'd be different if it was something where, somebody does something intentionally and it causes a problem. Then we got a little bit of a different issue, but this is definitely something where it was out of control out of the control of both of you. Neither one of you had control of the situation. Man, I don't know. That is so hard, man.
I'm
That is
living it,
so
bro.
hard.
Me and this guy are
Yeah.
living it. What I really want to do is, and what I'm trying to convince him to do is, I want him to go out for a cup of coffee with me so we can just talk like man to man. Because whenever I texted him, the first text I sent him, I apologize and sorry for the loss and everything. Do you want to meet so we can talk and move forward? But I just got like a very generic, like legal reply, like a very official, like, hey, evidence has come to light that I didn't know before. Um, I I don't feel like I'm responsible. We can talk to the proper legal authorities, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, can we just talk? And then he's like, no, we need to text everything so it's on the record. I was like, well, on the record isn't going to help him at all
No.
because he was negligent. So I really just try to convince him to let me take you to have a cup of coffee, and hopefully the ideal um, end to this would be 3 years from now. Me and this guy are at least upstanding members of the community. I don't know about friends, but hopefully I've made a positive impact out of a
Right.
tragic situation that happened that we were both involved in. And you got no idea how to predict the future, but
Yeah.
what'd be way better than me being negative and suing this guy and just being resentful and having hard feelings would be to help improve this guy's quality of life. And like I said, he's a member of the community. His son may end up being a student in my class. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the
That would be
best you can do
ideal.
is, yeah. I think the unfortunate thing is that the world is not ideal. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard to pull that off. It's kind
yeah.
of like
I totally
backpacking,
agree.
Jeremiah.
Yeah,
Backpacking is
me.
never ideal. You can go out on a trip and you think everything's going perfectly, and then it's raining, cats and dogs, and all of your gear is soaking wet.
Yeah, man. Sometimes somebody's dog is off leash and it runs and bite you, and sometimes their dog is on leash and you pet it and the dog bites you.
Yeah.
Sometimes things happen.
Or you could be looking over a cliff at a beautiful overhang and your glasses fall off and break. And that brings up the question, would I be better off wearing glasses when I'm backpacking, or should I wear contacts?
Oh, I'm glad you asked about this, dude, because the last 2 trips that I've went on, I've worn contacts.
Yeah, how's that gone for you?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't normally wear contacts. I went through a phase where I wore them like literally every day
Right.
because anybody that wears glasses knows it's annoying having glasses, especially when it
Yeah.
rains or when you sweat or when your eyebrows touch your glasses and leave those oily smudges, and then you have
Yep.
to deal with it. I mean, glasses people, all these problems that I'm talking, sliding down on your face toward the ends of the
Yep.
day because your face is getting greasy and your glasses won't stay on, or they get bent because you're playing a sport. I
And
could go on
that
and on.
little
So
tiny bit of eyebrow dander that always seems to show up even though you don't see it, it somehow ends up on your glasses.
people with sunglasses, they kind of know the pain, but not really.
No, it's not the
If
same.
you So I said, you know what, I'm going to try my contacts on trail, but my biggest holdouts are usually your hands just get dirty out there. And if, you're prone to getting stuff in your eye or you're rubbing your eye and you get dirt in it,
Yeah.
and you have to I wear contacts that you take out every day because my eye doctor says that's like not changing your underwear. He's like, wearing the same contacts all the time is like wearing the same underwear all the time. Your eyes need a break. And I know
Yeah.
not everybody agrees. They make them that can stay in 30 days. And stuff, but
Disposables, yeah.
yeah, you can get the dailies, and I don't know. They worked out okay for me, but I got to tell you, I went on overnighters and I didn't put them in the next morning. I wore my glasses the next day.
Really?
I put them in before I left, and I took the contact case and I put new solution in it. And, but you run a risk, because what if you drop the contact case while it's open and you don't have any solution? Then you just got that contact. You can either sleep in it, or you can put it in there and hope it doesn't dry out, or you can throw the contact in the trash and you have to deal with wearing the glasses. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm getting ready to go get an eye exam here soon, and I wear bifocals. They're the lineless ones, so you can't tell that I'm wearing bifocals if you look at me right now. But I'm old as dirt, and I need bifocals. So they actually make a bifocal lens where the middle of the lens is your distance vision, and there's a ridge around the outside that when you look down and the lens lifts up with your eyes, you look down, that's your reading or your near vision.
Are
And
they soft or hard
they're
contacts?
soft contacts. Yeah, they're soft contacts.
Never heard of this.
Yeah, I didn't until recently. 2 people I work with wear them, and they love them. So they've got me just about convinced to go out and get some. So I'm seriously considering getting myself some contacts this time around.
Well, let's see what you'd look like, man. Why don't you lose those glasses for a second, look at the camera,
Can't do it. Can't do it. We're gonna
Why
hold
not?
it until I get the contacts. We're not gonna do it.
Oh, look at him holding out on the audience and me.
Yeah, episode 250, and you're not getting that one. I'm holding out on you.
The big reveal once he gets his contact. Yeah, dude, I'll tell
But
you.
I'm seriously considering it because one of the things I miss wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, you can get prescription sunglasses though.
You can, but you know how expensive prescription bifocal sunglasses are?
No, I didn't even know they had bifocal sunglasses.
It's a nightmare expensive. I mean, you're talking $500 maybe.
Really?
Yeah, because you've got to get the fancier lenses and stuff. And basically what they do is they take lenses that you get for glasses and then they put the sunglasses tint to them or whatever.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and my insurance won't pay for those.
Yeah, dude, my insurance pays for new glasses every year.
So does
But
mine.
lenses are expensive though. Like if I really want to get like Ray-Bans or something mainstream that I think is quality enough for at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at $200 to $300, especially and that's without bifocals. That's just like transition lenses with like anti-glare and anti-scratch.
Yeah. And I don't like the transition lenses. I know you're big on them. You like them, but I just don't like them very much. So
honestly, I think my next pair of glasses, what I'm really wanting, and I may do this in the next week or two because my health coverage, you get a little flex card every year and the money just reset because January 1st, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we're cooking. So got my money back and it will pay for those lenses and frames. So I'm thinking I want something that looks cool and groovy, dude. I'm thinking like maybe like a gradient tint of yellow or red or something. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of artsy.
I mean, you got that cool hair now. So, I mean, you kind of look like a rock star already. So you just add the glasses and you're like in, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just going to fake it till I make it,
You'll be like the Elton John of backpacking.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Can you play piano?
I play guitar.
I know you can play guitar. I don't know if you played piano.
No, mom does, but I didn't inherit that gene.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I honestly, I think I'm going to go contacts this time because I want to wear sunglasses. Like I hate it, especially when I'm out backpacking and I'm on a ridge and there's no tree cover and that sun is beating down. Your hat will help a little bit, but I find myself kind of doing the squint thing because my eyes are hurting from the sunlight. And I think being able to actually wear sunglasses when I go hiking would be really nice. And still being able to read things and look at my GPS and stuff while I'm hiking would be nice too. And up until now, I didn't realize I could still do that with contact lenses. So that's pretty cool.
Well,
I'm actually considering LASIK.
Well, I was going to say there's no perfect solution, but there are several solutions. Like I have the transition lenses, but one of the issues is that they don't work in the car because it's got a UV strip. So without UV activation, it's still really bright out.
Right.
And then also they get smudged up and stuff. If you do the contacts, then you have to wash your hands. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to use Germ-X and then try to take out the contact solution.
Oh, heck no. You burn your eyes out.
Yeah. And the pH of the Germ-X is the wrong pH. So you got to use like probably powdered soap and you're going to have extra water. So
or Bronner's or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Some biodegradable soap that you're going to take backpacking with you. So that's extra stuff. Or you could do the LASIKs, which is expensive. And I don't know, there's mixed reviews on LASIKs too. Like I have a buddy that there's multiple machines you can do. And he did one that it cost less, but your eye can like go back to the previous vision. So now he has to, after a couple of years, he has to wear glasses again. And you can pay extra and they can redo your LASIKs. But I don't know how safe that is. I mean, I'm not going to claim to know. But
I had a friend who actually did the bifocal LASIK
Mhm.
which is interesting. It's one eye is your distance vision, one eye is your close vision. And I thought that would be weird, but talking to him, he's had it now for 10 years and he still loves it.
Oh, the brain's so adaptable. It would
Yeah.
probably just it would become your new normal after, I don't know, a few months. You'd just forget it's even,
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah, but he loves it. He thinks it's great. So I've considered that too. Because I mean, if you do it right, it's maybe $1,000, $2,000 an eye. But over the course of the next 20, 40 years, I mean, 30 years, 20 or 30 years, you're still talking like, how many glasses are you getting during that time?
Well, your insurance might pay for contacts.
Yeah, it might. But at the same
Mine
time,
pays for.
to not have to put something in my eye or not have to wear glasses again for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
it's
Have
pretty
you ever
tempting.
put contacts in?
Oh, yeah. I wore contacts for years before I had bifocals.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Some people have a real problem with touching their eyes, so they can't.
I did all of Kilimanjaro with contact lenses.
And did you switch them out every day? Did you have the disposable, or
Disposables for each day. Yep.
do you open a new fresh contact every single morning?
Yep.
What's the longest that you've ever like I remember in college I couldn't afford the contacts, so it'd be like a 1-month pair, but
Yeah.
you use them for 2 months. What's the
Oh,
longest,
yeah.
like what's the ratio for you? Was that the pretty much the go-to?
I don't know if I don't know what
Double?
the ratio is for that, but I do know that there was a point where I would leave my contacts in for a week at a time before taking them out.
Oh, you had the dirty underwear syndrome. My eye
Oh,
doctor would not like the optometrist.
I drop them every single morning. I put eye drops in every morning to wash out my eyes, and I ended up actually like having severe pain in my eyes after about a year and a half of doing that. So
You don't say. We've all been
I think I
there.
was 19 years old. I was
Yeah,
19,
same.
20 years old, and yeah, that was dumb. That was dumb.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
I'm sure there was a morning I woke up in college, and you're 20 years old and you're rubbing your eye and you're like, gosh, my eye is just so itchy today. I don't know what's wrong. Meanwhile, you've used your contacts like 3 times longer than you were supposed to, and
Yeah.
you didn't
Then
have
they're
enough of
rough
one
on the
box.
outside and they're scratching your cornea and
Yeah.
yeah.
You're just trying to make it through the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. And the last thing about the glasses, dude, during the vid, the masks, whenever masks were mandatory and you had glasses,
They
that
fogged
was
up
the
all the
worst.
time.
Yeah, there was people saying like, put this on your glasses to keep them from fogging. And I was like, I don't need, with how much money I paid for these lenses and like the extra stuff on them, I'm not willing to like take the $300 risk and having to buy new lenses and glasses. I mean,
No chance.
no, I'm not. I mean, they can take the lenses out of the frames and just reuse the frames, and that would save you like $150. But I was like, I'm not going to risk it. So, but dude, during COVID, oh my gosh,
Have you seen
go ahead.
speaking of backpack, Darwin, have you seen the glasses that he wears when he goes backpacking?
No, I just saw his classic like rectangle frames. Do you change them?
He's got some that he wears for backpacking that they have like an elastic band that just wraps around his head that he can tighten up when he goes backpacking.
Oh, yes. Now there's a company that emailed me last year, like September, October, and asked if I wanted to do a video with a pair of those. And I said, well, I don't get a new prescription until like November. And my old prescription, it's going to be outdated because it was like a year old.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, once you get your new prescription, send us an email and here's the link and we'll get you a pair. So I haven't tried them, but it is on if I want to make that video, which I don't know if I will or not. But
Well, if you
I
don't
do
want to,
end
let
up
them know I'll
make-
do it.
Okay, I'll just CC you on the response.
Yeah,
and,
see me on the response because that's the roughest thing with glasses in your backpacking is bending over to pick something up and they may fall off. Like these glasses don't have like loops that go around my ears. They just go straight back.
Mhm.
So they can fall off, which can be really frustrating. And if you get into a river or a creek or something and you
You can just lose
get jolted or you slip and your glasses fall off, you are in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could be out there 3 days kayaking with no glasses at all.
Yeah. And so I when he did that video, it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe a few months ago he did that video. And I remember seeing those glasses and thinking, man, I need to get my hands on some of those.
I was going to tell you real quick before we wrap the show, because I think we need to head out of here pretty soon. But we did do a poll, and it was split 3 ways. The poll was on the episode 248 with Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir. What is your pooping in the woods nightmare? So you okay if we wrap with a little bit of poop?
Yeah, let me pull it up. I want to read this with you because I'm curious.
Okay, and in the I think that the poll is currently still open. I think I set it to be open for a while.
Yeah. Oh wow, it really is. It's 33.3, 33.3, and 33.3. Wow.
Yeah. So I put on there a few different ones, but I felt like it was kind of limited because I didn't have enough options that would cover everybody. But the options were, one nightmare was run out of toilet paper. One was it started raining. One was it was really cold. One was you actually fell into your own poop. And one was, as we've heard many times on the podcast, someone stumbling upon you while you're trying to do your business and you get caught pooping with your pants down. So
I know for me it's number 4. I know it's number 4 for me. Like falling in my own stuff. I've almost done that 2 or 3 times where you just slip and you grab that tree right before you fall backwards and you're like, heart's beating 1,000 miles an hour and you're just like, oh good, oh good. Oh, because you're just afraid, man. Once you've done that, I mean, there's no going back. You know what I mean?
No, you're just
no going
dealing
back
with the aftermath.
Yep, and the smell that's with you probably for a while.
So that did garner 1/3 of the votes, falling in your own poop. And then also tied with 33% was running out of toilet paper and having to go out into the cold to do your business.
Yeah. When I was in Wisconsin backpacking years ago, we had a privy. And it was a metal privy in February in Wisconsin.
Oh, did you ever get stuck to it?
No, I didn't get stuck. What we would do, what a lot of us would do, and I think it was one of the Shill brothers that said this was the way to do it, was you'd go in and you just sit on it with your pants on.
Oh, yeah, that's
Just
what I suggest too.
Sit there for about 30 or 40 seconds. Let your body heat warm it up just a little bit, and then do your business. But if you just sat down there like cold, you're literally going to be cold.
Yeah, dude. Man. Imagine going in there and you're sweaty and you sit down on it and both cheeks get stuck to the seat.
It's like a Christmas story.
Yeah, but instead of your tongue.
I triple dog dare you.
That would be bad. Man, what a show.
What a show. We talked a little bit about backpacking.
We covered, imagine this is the first episode you've ever heard of the backpacking. Now, I will say backpacking holds this community together.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I feel like for a show to be successful, and I feel like we do an okay job, you know, you need certain things. And one of the things is you need something that ties the whole community together. So even though we might not necessarily stick to just backpacking, you know, like today we talked about me hitting a dog. Backpacking still kind of holds us all together.
It does. So, you know, when I was talking to Joe Rogan the other day, he told me, he said, you know, sometimes you just go with the topic at hand and you just talk about it, and that's what you do. And I said, Joe, that's great. I said, that is great. Thank you. And he said, do you have any advice for me? And I said, Joe, one of these days you're going to have a really good podcast, and I'm here for you. And he thought that was fantastic and said, thank you.
You know, shout out to him. Actually, he recently had on, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's from the coal mines, like West Virginia, Kentucky, like super far eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
And he worked actually under Matt Bevin for years. And it was so refreshing to listen to a JRE episode. And the guy on there sounded literally exactly like me, dude. His accent and my accent, it was like listening to myself talk for 2.5 hours. He was so articulate, but also had just, you know, his voice had been painted with the brush strokes of Eastern Kentucky. So
what's going on, hikers?
Oh, I love it.
Was that him? Was that him right there?
I think was that a soundbite from the JRE episode?
That might be. But
John always with the advice for Joe Rogan.
I do want to say this. I want to say a big thank you to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, all of our subscribers. Thank you for being a part of the Backpacking Podcast for the past 5 years. And if you're new to the Backpacking Podcast and you're just catching up on these episodes and all that, thank you for binge listening. I can't tell you how many people we've talked to that said they binge listen to this podcast. Thank you for being a part of our community and what we do and putting up with us when we go on tangents about things that have nothing to do with really anything that matters to anybody but ourselves. You all are awesome, and we are very blessed to have such a great group of people who listen to this podcast.
Yeah, what he said.
Well, for myself and Jeremiah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.